In here, as you can see, we're trying to get into this window with before the rain hits. My name's Eric Sutton. I'm with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. I'll be your MC. Let's get it right on the road. I want to introduce someone very special who's going to introduce a very special guest. This is our chairman, Mr. Rodney Barreto.
Thank you, Eric. Happy birthday, Eric. I hear it's your birthday. So before we get started, I wanted to introduce the Vice Chair of the Fish and Wildlife Commission, Mike Soul. Thank you for being with us, Mike. Joe Martinez, Commissioner Joe Martinez. He's the district commissioner out here. Joe's a former Miami-Dade commander. He's been a county commissioner, and he's a friend to the FWC. Anytime I call Joe, he's there for us. Appreciate your support, Joe. Noah Valenstein. Congratulations on your announcement of your retirement. We wish you well. Godspeed. Okay? Thank you for all your support and efforts. With that, I tell you what, the next speaker, our governor, doesn't need much of an introduction. Yesterday, again, he proved that the environment, the Everglades, is number one. He approved his budget with $420 million in for the Everglades. You know, the governor has been steadfast, supportive of any and all things Everglades, including eradicating this python. And with that, I want to introduce our governor, Governor Ron DeSantis.
All right. Thank you. Well, thanks, Rodney. Thanks for your work. I also want to just thank Noah for working very, very hard. We've really we've done a lot, and we've made sure that he was working very hard, and he did time and time again. He's done a really good job, made a difference, not just on Everglades restoration, but a whole host of key environmental issues for the state. And then we also have Sean Hamilton here, who's going to be the acting secretary. Where's Sean at? Okay, so Sean's back there, so he's going to get thrown in the briar patch here very shortly, but we appreciate his work. I am proud to be here today in the Everglades as we kick off registration for the 2021 Python Challenge. This will be a 10-day challenge from July 9th until July 18th. Participants who remove the most pythons and who capture the longest pythons will receive prizes at the end of the competition. Now, as part of my focus on restoring the Everglades, I've charged FWC with dedicating more resources and taking innovative approaches to removing invasive Burmese pythons, which can grow to 20 feet in length, weigh up to 200 pounds, and cause major damage to the ecosystem. I mean, these things will eat everything. And we spend all this money and we want to do all this stuff to restore, but yet if they're just running roughshod over all the other species, that's not what we want. So there had been a python event once every 3 years. We said we want to make the python event an annual occurrence. We've also expanded access for python removers into state parks, as well as worked with the U.S. Department of Interior to increase access to federal lands for python removal, particularly within the Big Cypress National Preserve. And as a result of our efforts, FWC had a record year for python removal in 2020. It was about a 35% increase in the number of pythons year over year between 2019 and 2020. And of course, 2019, 18, 17, those years were much better than they were 4 or 5 years previous to that. So we've done almost 5,500 pythons removed from the Everglades since I became governor. Total, FWC has removed about 13,000 pythons since the year 2000. We love the Python Challenge. I know there's a lot of people. There's people from all over the world that want to come do the Python Challenge. So we want to continue to do that. But we also want to identify new ways to be able to remove pythons. And so, for example, FWC is training a python detector dog team. They're also working with the University of Central Florida to create infrared vehicle cameras to help us detect pythons. You look, it's very hard to find these. I mean, people will look all day. It's not easy. So if we can harness technology to help us identify them more quickly and easily, you're going to see even more pythons be able to be removed. So I look forward to a successful challenge. If you're interested in registering, visit flpythonchallenge.org, flpythonchallenge.org. As Rodney Barreto mentioned, yesterday we signed our budget. A year ago, when we started to see a lot of the fallout from COVID, people were predicting dire straits for budgets here in Florida. we've had incredibly strong revenue growth because we've had incredibly strong economic activity compared to what the forecasts were. So we were able to not only fully fund Python programs at FWC, we also funded numerous other wildlife conservation and environmental programs. We also had huge amount of money for Everglades restoration and for water quality and water infrastructure. And actually, even though I was very ambitious, the legislature actually ended up doing more than what even I had asked for. No one would have thought that was possible just 2 or 3 years earlier. So we are making huge progress with Everglades. We're on the offensive. We're going to continue to do it. And I know that it's something that's important for a lot of Floridians. So we're happy to be here. We want to wish all the participants of the Python Challenge good luck. We also want to thank everybody who's been a part of our efforts at restoring the Everglades. And so with that, I will now turn it over to our legend, Ronnie. Actually, I think Rodney's going to recognize all the other VIPs, but we are going to bring up Alligator Ron. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor, for your unwavering support. And I got to tell you, with your leadership, the agency, Fish and Wildlife, the South Florida Water Management District, and DEP have never had such a great working relationship. And we want to thank you because you're the one who sets the tone. With that, I want to bring up the Lieutenant Governor, Miami's own Lieutenant Governor Janet Nunez.
Well, good morning. It's great to be here. As a Miami native, I'm thrilled to be here in the Everglades and stand by our governor, who has been the strongest, most arduous advocate for Everglades restoration. And today you're going to see, obviously, we're here to announce the Python Challenge, something I know a lot of individuals are excited about, because it is true that this invasive species is really upending our very fragile and precious ecosystem. So I'm proud to be part of an administration that recognizes the challenges, that puts forward great initiatives, and that stands strong on behalf of our Everglades and our most precious resource here in Florida. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. The next person needs no introduction. For those of you that have been in the Everglades, I'd like to introduce South Florida Water Management District Governing Board member, Alligator Ron Bergeron.
Well, thank you, everybody. I just want to start out saying that our governor started developing his vision before he was even elected. I can remember him coming into my office, developing a vision of how we can save one of the natural wonders of the world and how we can have a quality of life into the future for future generations and our drinking water in order to have jobs and economical growth in the future. As we work together, we actually come up, the governor about 2 years ago said, let's put an extensive plan together to increase the pressure on the Python and work with our federal partners, which I'd like to recognize Pedro Ramos from the Park Service and the FWC and my commander standing here. But I think what we did under the governor's leadership is working to develop a plan with our federal partners to get more access into remote areas, to work in the Big Cypress to open up secondary trails in order that python hunters can get into somewhere around 800,000 acres where the python lives. The python is an invasive snake, as mentioned before, 200 pounds, 20 feet long, that's destroying the natural food chain. And without a natural food chain, you cannot have a healthy environment. So as we work together under our governor's leadership and his vision, we have put the pressure on the python, and we will continue. I want to thank all the stakeholders. I want to thank the hikers, the bikers, the wildlife photographers, the hunters, the fishermen, the conservationists, the environmentalists, all of the stakeholders that enjoy this resource. Thank them for being a part of this in the Python Challenge. The Python Challenge is to remove as many snakes as we can, but also to educate the public on how to safely remove the snake and how to notify the FWC or South Florida Water Management if you see a python and you don't have the ability to remove it. So it's education. So all year long after the Python Challenge, everyone that enjoys this natural resource can be looking for these pythons year round. So I think at the end of the day, if we can save the environment, we can save the quality of life for future generations in Florida, and long live the Everglades.
Thank you very much, Alligator Ron. And our last person to address us is a friend and partner, Superintendent of Everglades National Park, Pedro Ramos.
Thank you, Eric. All right, I think that the reason why Alligator Ron forgot my name there for a moment is because he usually calls me Crocodile Pedro. It is great to be with you all this morning, Mr. Governor and the state team. The federal and state partnership we enjoy around this issue of exotic invasives is very, very strong. As a matter of fact, I bring the regards of Shannon Estenos, another native Floridian who is the Assistant Secretary nominee for the Department of Interior. As the Superintendent for Everglades and Dry Tortugas National Parks and also representing Big Cypress and Biscayne National Parks, I have to tell you that this is one of those issues that does keep me up at night. As we work to restore America's Everglades, we must make sure to look at our restoration efforts holistically. We can not only focus on the work we need to do to get the water right, even though getting the water right is the most important thing that we do. But this landscape needs our help, and we must do everything we can to avoid restoring the Everglades for a bunch of weeds and animals that don't belong here to begin with, including the python. We rarely see rabbits, raccoons, and other small mammals anymore in the park. And this trips the environment off balance. You don't have to be a scientist to understand that. Thank you, Mr. Governor, and your team for all that you're doing to help draw attention to this problem. Events like this, the Python Challenge, can help raise awareness and allows an opportunity for the public to also be able to participate and be part of the solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you.